how about this 400 plus year old oak behind me? Good morning, everybody. My name is Murray Livingston. I'm a landscape photographer. We are here on the Ridgeway in the Chilterns in England. The sun's just rising, and today we're going to be exploring some of the woods here, and it's bluebell season, so that's fantastic. And it also brings up the timely topic of how to be a more ethical and responsible photographer. My perspective is that we are guests in these wild places, and therefore we should treat them with as much respect as possible. So for instance, with some of the wildflowers and the bluebells that we're going to see today, it's really important to stay on the path and not trample them. These are some really beautiful places, and of course as landscape photographers we want to photograph them. So it's our responsibility to do what we can to help protect these beautiful wild places. So what are some things that we can do to be more responsible photographers? Well, this is potentially a good example here. There's what looks like a path, but it's probably a deer trail leading right through some bluebells. So this is where we have to weigh up and decide, do we need to prioritize nature over photography? Educating yourself about the places that you're visiting and the potential impact that you might have is part of that. So I know that bluebells take 7 years to flower. So if you trample one, then you really are setting back quite a fragile ecosystem. So this is one where it's sort of 50-50. I might be able to go a little bit of the ways in, but beyond that, it's not worth trying to get any further because you're at risk of damaging some of these beautiful wildflowers. So I am struggling a little bit with composition. The harsh light is beautiful, but it's really hard to work with. So what I'm going to do is, there's a nice open clearing here. I think I'm going to just try to make something work here. I feel like I've been wandering a little bit too much, so rather set up and try and work the scene, really focus on maybe some of these backlit leaves, these giant beech trees. In the spring, their leaves are nice and translucent, so they give you sort of appearance of almost glowing when they're backlit. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the long lens here to really just zoom in from afar and try to focus on more of like a pattern shot of those backlit leaves rather than anything close up or detailed. Sort of a scattering of floating golden leaves. Anyway, that's sort of the idea. So that's the 100 to 500 from Canon on the R5 there. And we'll see if I can make something work. I'll record a little bit of video and maybe zoom out a bit. So I think I found something here that's it's decent, yeah. Some backlit beech leaves, just like I was talking about, and I'm shooting this at almost 450 mil, so really zooming in on a small grouping of leaves with a nice diagonal form. Yeah, beautiful. But settings wise, I'm having to underexpose it by about a stop, and that's helping because I really want to drop the background into darkness and still retain lots of the highlights in the leaves themselves. So in terms of settings, it's f11 ISO 100 at 1/20th of a second, and there's no wind, so nice and easy. 2-second timer. Take another shot here. Lovely. We've got deer running through. There's sort of this big pack of about 50 or 60 of them that's just running back and forth through the scene. Sort of quite an idyllic English morning, really. The bluebells, the deer. A few other points I wanted to talk about being a more responsible photographer, and one of them is to use discretion when sharing locations, especially on social media and online. Really think twice before geotagging a location, because you never know how many or who might visit that location after you and what they will do there. So really think about if somewhere is sensitive or fragile, some parts of the desert perhaps, or wildflower meadows, then really you shouldn't be sharing those locations online. And it's not about gatekeeping, it's just about protecting those environments. Another way to do this is if you do really want to share the location, then perhaps consider waiting a few weeks after the flowers have stopped blooming. That way if somebody does go after you, they're not going to trample the flowers, and at least you've given those flowers time to set seed. But of course that all comes back to getting to know where you're going, your environment, and what makes it special. And then one more thing, of course, you should always know and follow your regulations. So here in the UK, picking wildflowers is illegal. So they are a protected species, and there's lots of other examples of that. But getting to know your local regulations and following them as best as possible is always a good tip to become a more ethical landscape photographer. I will show you that shot now, and hopefully I can come up with a few more different compositions. found a little angle here on some bluebells with a mossy beech tree. So I can move a little bit to the left there, but I think I might block my view with some of the other trees around this. Some birch, a few oak. I'm still using the long lens at 100mm because there's quite a lot of clutter to the left and the right, so I'm just zooming in and focusing on some of the arching diagonal beech limbs, and of course those wonderful bluebells in the foreground. Now they aren't at peak bloom. I might have to revisit in a week and see if some of them open up a bit more, and that way we'll get a bit more colour in the foreground. But for now there's some side lighting, the leaves are popping, the bluebells are nice, so I'm quite happy to have found at least something utilising these wonderful wildflowers. F8 1/60th at ISO 100, and again just underexposing a little bit to preserve those highlights. Really don't want to clip anything here. If you do that, you're going to lose all of your color fidelity as well. So important to nail your exposure when photographing these high contrast woodland scenes. But yeah, that's the shot, and if it's any good, then I'll show you it now.
Well, this image didn't quite work out. The busy background is quite distracting in my opinion. Perhaps in softer lighting conditions or under fog, this image would be a bit better. I did, however, revisit the clearing to photograph these wonderful backlit beech leaves.
Well, what a beautiful morning here in this English woodland. And I'm going to wrap things up here, so please do remember to like the video, leave a comment down below, and click subscribe to the Pickfair YouTube channel. I hope you've learned something about how to be a more ethical or responsible landscape photographer, and as always, I will see you in the next one. Cheers everyone.